Many people are shocked to find out that car and truck defects cause so many injuries and deaths. It's just normal to focus on the car crash itself, who was at fault, who ran the red light. But for us, that's just the beginning of the investigation, because we have found that in many cases there is something wrong with the vehicle, the car or the truck that someone was riding in at the time of the crash that either caused the crash or caused the injuries to be far more severe. One example, one of my first trials, in fact, was a post-collision fuel-fed fire case. And it was a very, very minor crash. In fact, everyone would have gotten up and walked away, except the station wagon that these 6 people were riding in burst into flames. And 2 people died, and the other 4 were horribly burned. So, yes, the crash was caused by another driver, but all of those injuries were caused by the defect in the vehicle. That case is obvious, but there are many cases where it is not so clear. I had a case involving a driver. He was a United States Marine, and it was the 4th of July. He was coming back from work when another driver fell asleep, ran through a red light, and hit this United States Marine's pickup truck in the side. He was ejected from the truck, and he suffered paralysis. He became a quadriplegic. The injuries were horrific. He couldn't move any part of his body below the neck. He couldn't survive on his own for more than a few hours. He needed constant care just to keep him alive. He had 6 young children. It was a horrible case, and the police immediately concluded that he wasn't wearing his seatbelt. And that happens in many, many cases. In death cases, the decedent isn't there to speak for himself or herself. Our investigations speak for these people in wrongful death cases, and even in injury cases like this one, because nobody believed that United States Marine that he was wearing his seatbelt. Well, we proved that he was, and we proved a defect in the vehicle that caused the seatbelt buckle to unlatch in a certain kind of crash, the very crash that he suffered. So once again, the crash was somebody else's fault, but the real injuries, in this case the quadriplegia, were caused by the defect in the vehicle. It is shocking to me how many times these cases get missed, even by experienced lawyers. In that case involving the United States Marine, when we were getting ready for trial, I went around the country and deposed many of the people who had complained to the car company about their seatbelt unlatching. Many of these people were seriously injured in the crashes which caused their seatbelt to unlatch. And most of them had never filed a lawsuit against the car company. Their lawyers filed the lawsuit against the other driver in the crash, and either were unable to figure out the true defect in the vehicle, or did not have the expertise and resources to bring a case against the car company, because it is incredibly expensive, incredibly time-consuming, and it requires an incredible amount of expertise in the engineering of motor vehicles. So these poor people that I was going to interview and depose on videotape so that I could play in my trial, so they would be witnesses for my client, the United States Marine, they had their own cases which had never been brought, and which the deadline had already passed, so never would be brought. So it's shocking, but lawyers many times miss the car defect case. We make sure to analyze every crash with a view to investigating whether or not there is a car or truck defect. It's incredibly important. It is the foundation of what we do. It is imperative that every client make sure that the lawyer who they have hired is conducting that investigation and doing it properly. My name is John Uustal. My firm handles these cases. We do a investigation that is unique in the industry. And if you have any questions about a certain case or a certain investigation that's being conducted in regard to a crash that you were involved in or one of your loved ones, we would be happy to assist you or answer any questions that you may have.